Hello, friends. You're watching Shadow Notes. Today, I stumbled upon a story that literally sent chills down my spine. I thought things like this only happened in old legends or creepy campfire tales, but it turns out it's happening right now, right here in the United States. Over the past few decades, strange disappearances have been happening in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Here's what I found in open sources. On the official website of the U.S. National Park Service, there are more than 20 recorded cases where people literally vanished without a trace. But what's even more disturbing, some eyewitnesses claim to have seen mysterious figures in the fog, watching them from the forest. On one English-speaking hiking forum, a user named Trailwalker85 wrote about how he was coming back along the Klingman's Dome Trail late in the evening when he suddenly felt that someone was walking in sync with him among the trees. Step. Another step. He stopped, and at that exact moment, everything in the forest froze. Complete silence. The silence was so dense that he couldn't even hear the rustling of the leaves, as if someone had simply turned off all sound. And then, according to him, a figure appeared a few meters off the trail, tall, elongated, shaped like a person, but without a face. It stood completely still, and Trailwalker85 said he was paralyzed with fear. After a few seconds, the figure slowly stepped back, dissolving into the fog, as if the forest itself pulled it inside. That was the moment he finally managed to breathe, turned around, and ran down the trail all the way to the parking lot without looking back. And that wasn't a one-time incident. In the archives of the Knoxville News-Sentinel, I found a report from 1969 about a boy named Dennis Martin, who disappeared only a few miles away from that spot. He vanished in a matter of seconds while playing with his friends near a campsite. Large rescue teams searched the entire forest for weeks, but didn't find a single trace. Later, official reports confirmed that Dennis was never found and is still listed as missing, making his case one of the most mysterious disappearances in the history of the park. No shoe prints, no pieces of clothing, nothing. And here's what really got to me. In an old Reddit thread, a woman with the nickname Quiet Hiker said that her grandfather took part in that search. She quoted him, "During the search, a few guys reported seeing a figure on the slope between the trees. They thought it was one of the search party until the figure started moving too fast and too smoothly, almost as if it was gliding above the ground." He said it was not a human. And the creepiest part, several days after the official search ended, one of the locals heard a child's laughter deep in the forest, even though there were no rescuers or tourists in that area anymore. A few years later, in that same area, a hiker named Christopher Vega went missing. He headed out alone on the Forney Ridge Trail and never checked in after that. His campsite was discovered untouched. The tent was neatly set up, his backpack and food were in place, even a cup of coffee was sitting next to a rock as if he had stepped out for just a minute. But he never returned. According to official reports from the Search and Rescue Department, Christopher Vega is still missing, and the reason for his disappearance remains completely unexplained. A report published in the Charlotte Observer states that no physical evidence was found, only signs that someone else had been present around the campsite, and those tracks didn't belong to Vega. That's when I got goosebumps from what I found next. On a closed forum for former park rangers, one of the members wrote, "We never tell hikers this, but there are places in the Great Smoky Mountains that even experienced staff avoid after sunset. People hear footsteps, even though the maps show that those areas are completely empty. Sometimes at night, something gently touches the back of the tent, almost like checking if someone is inside. Are you awake?" That same user claimed that his partner once saw a figure standing in the middle of a remote road. It was facing away from the vehicle, but when they jumped out with their flashlights, there was nothing there, and all around them they heard rustling in the leaves as if something had scattered in all directions. And now attention, this is not my words, but a documented case. In 2016, a hiker named Jared Lancaster filed a report to the local department claiming that at night he saw a person crouching and staring directly into his tent. When he leaned out with his flashlight, no one was there, but on the ground he found clear barefoot prints leading into the forest. The prints disappeared right in the middle of the trail, as if the person had simply dissolved into the air. Later, I found an interview with Jared where he said, "I swear that thing never moved, but at one point I thought it was smiling." That's when I realized it was not a person at all. It was something else. And here's the strangest part. In nearby towns among old residents, people still tell stories about the fog watchers. They believe these entities live deep in the forest and take those who venture too far into their territory. Locals often warn, never follow anyone who calls your name, even if it sounds like someone you know. You won't believe this. Just a few months ago, a man using the nickname Ben Hiker posted a short video to YouTube showing himself hiking in the Great Smoky Mountains. At one point, in the background, a strange voice can be heard clearly calling his name, but according to him, he was hiking completely alone, and no one else was registered in that area at the time. In the comments, another user wrote, "I got chills. I was there in 2018, and I also heard my name, but it sounded like it was coming from all directions at once. Ben, Ben." Every year, more and more stories like these appear. Different people in different parts of the park, all describing the same terrifying feeling, as if someone is walking behind them, never showing themselves, but making sure they're always felt. And the strangest thing, most of those who disappeared have never been found. No bodies, no remains, no belongings. Only a faint smell of damp fog and a barely audible whisper, "Come back." And now a question that won't leave my mind. What if all of these stories are not coincidences, but signs of the same entity? Something that lives in the Great Smoky Mountains and is watching every step of those who enter its territory. What do you think? Are these just legends? Or is someone or something really taking people in those woods? Let me know in the comments if you believe stories like this, and if you've ever experienced something strange in the forest, please share your story. Honestly, after everything I've discovered, I will never go hiking alone again, and especially not in the fog. See you soon, friends. Subscribe to Shadow Notes so you don't miss the next mysterious investigation.